I'll be telling you the story of the last cab ride, a true story by Kent Nerber. 20 years ago, I drove a cab for a living. One night, in the middle of the night, I arrived for a pickup at a building that was dark, except for a single light in the ground floor window. Under these circumstances, many cab drivers would honk once or twice and then drive away, but I had seen too many impoverished people who depended on taxis as their means of transportation. Unless the situation smelled of danger, I always went up to the front door. So I went up to the door and knocked. "Just a minute," answered a frail, elderly voice. I could hear something being dragged across the floor, and then after a long pause, the door opened to reveal a small woman in her 80s. She was wearing a print dress and a pillbox hat with a veil pinned to it, like something out of a 1940s movie. Next to her was a small nylon suitcase. Her apartment looked as if no one had lived in it for years. She's covered the furniture. There were no clocks or paintings on the walls, no utensils or knickknacks on the counters. In the corner was a box filled with pictures and glassware. "Would you carry my bag up to the car?" she asked. So I took the suitcase to the cab, then returned to assist her. She took my arm, and we slowly walked back to the cab. She kept thanking me for my kindness, but I just said, "It's nothing. I just treat my passengers the same way I would want my mother to be treated." When we got in the cab, she handed me an address. "Would you drive me through downtown?" she asked. "It's not the shortest way," I quickly answered. "Oh, I don't mind," she said. "I'm on my way to hospice." I looked in the rearview mirror, and her eyes were glistening. "I have no family left," she continued. "The doctor says I don't have much longer." I reached over and shut off the meter, and then turned around and asked, "Which route would you like me to take?" For the next 2 hours, we drove throughout the whole city. She showed me a building where she had once worked as an elevator operator. We drove through the neighborhood where she and her husband lived when they were newlyweds. We stopped at a furniture shop that had once been a ballet studio where she danced as a girl. Sometimes she would ask me to stop or slow down near a curb or building, where she would just sit quietly, staring off into the darkness. When the sun was beginning to appear over the horizon, she suddenly said, "I'm tired, let's go now." So we drove silently to the address. The address was a low building, like a small nursing home, with a driveway that led under an overhang. 2 orderlies came out as soon as we arrived. They were intent, watching her every move. They had been waiting for her arrival. I went to the trunk to get her suitcase, and when I went back to her, she was already in a wheelchair at the front door. "How much do I owe you?" she asked, rummaging through her purse. "Nothing," I answered. "But you have to make a living," she insisted. "There are other passengers." Almost without thinking, I bent down and gave her a hug. She held on to me tightly. "You gave an old woman a moment of joy," she said. "Thank you." I squeezed her hand and then walked back to my cab. I shut the door, and behind me I could hear the closing of a door. That was the sound of the closing of a light. For the rest of the day, I didn't pick up any more passengers. I just drove around, aimlessly, lost in thought. What if she had gotten an angry driver, or a driver who was impatient to end his shift? What if I had refused to take the run, or just drove away without thinking? On a quick review, I'd like to say that was one of the most important moments in my whole life. We are conditioned to think that our lives revolve around the great moments, but it's often the great moments that catch us unaware, beautifully wrapped in what others may consider to be a small one. Thank you.